Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha.
Thank you. Okay, let me share the screen. Yeah, please go to me.
Yes, Thầy. Moreover, constant exertions, if good men or good women accept and uphold this sutra, if they read it, recite it, explain and preach it, or transcribe it, they will succeed in gaining 800 nose benefits, with which to purify their faculty of smell, so they can detect all the different fragrance from top to bottom and in the inner and outer parts of a thousand million-fold world. The fragrance of Sumana flowers, Chatika flowers, Malika flowers, Champaka flower, Patalam flowers, red lotus flowers, blue lotus flowers, white lotus flowers. The fragrance of flowering trees, fruit trees, sandalwood, aloes, amalapatra, and tagara, as well as incense blended from 10,000 ingredients, powder incense, pellet incense, or past incense. One who upholds the sutra while dwelling here will be able to distinguish all of these.
Yeah.
Moreover,
okay.
Yes. So this part again, the Lotus Sutra explain the benefits of beings that could read, understand, and recite and explain this Lotus Sutra to the other, and they will have superiors of smelling, and their nose could smell all kind of ingredients and flowers and powders.
So what do you think when we are in the state of meditation, when we come our mind up, we have that ability?
Yes.
So in Buddhism, everything is in ourselves, right?
Yes.
This is why we could not have that ability to develop, because we have so much attachment to things. Okay, Tammy, please. Tammy, please.
Moreover, he will be able to distinguish and identify the odors of living beings, of elephants, horses, oxen, sheep, and so forth, the odor of a man, a woman, a boy, child, a girl child, and odors of plants, trees, thickets, and forests, whether they are near or far. He will be able to detect all these odors and distinguish one from the other without error. One who upholds this sutra, though he dwells right here, will also be able to detect orders of the various heavens in the sky above, the scent of a parijataka and kovadar trees, of mandurva flowers, great mandurva flowers, great manjuska flowers, sandalwood, aloes, various kinds of powder incense, and incense made of an assortment of flowers, of heavenly scents from which they are derived or blended. There are none that he cannot detect and identify. So it's talking about being able to distinguish all the different odors without even looking, just being able to know what's around, not even that's near, but what's far away. You can tell by the smell. And also the orders of the heavens and the sky above. That was the only part that seemed different from everything else. Everything else is talking about smells, but the order of the heavens and the sky above was different.
I don't know much about this kind of industry. They have people who test the food, who smell the perfumes and so forth, right? William, is that William? The people who test the food before they advertise or they sell to the market, right?
Yeah, certainly. I would think so. Like maybe different restaurants, like even chains would have professional tasters to help. I would think so. And definitely perfume people, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amy, you heard about that type of people before?
I haven't heard of them in particular. I'm sure they exist. More like they would be like the quality control people. Like, you know, when in a manufacturing company, you have quality control. So I would assume that they would have those for, like William was saying, for restaurants and stuff.
So they hire professional tester, right, to go from restaurant to restaurant to test out the food, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, and certainly the ones that do the reviews, they have people that do reviews on restaurants, and they go from restaurant to restaurant and write different reviews.
But even the test of some products, right? Some candies, ice cream, cake, and so forth. Is that right?
Yes,
I would think someone would be testing them.
No, I mean that the company would hire those people, right? I saw some video clips about them.
Cool.
So they may have some special sense, special skill to recognize the difference between this type of ice cream to all the type of ice cream or the cake and so forth. Is that right?
I don't know a lot about that, but it sounds like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense that they would have those.
Yeah.
So they should read the Lotus Sutra.
Yeah, probably they have some kind of concentration skill to focus on the taste of the food. Yeah, I'm surprised when I watch those couple of video clips. Is it their profession? Is their job to test the food each time they produce some type of food to put out there on the market? Okay. Yeah, please, William.
He will also be able to detect the scent of the bodies of heavenly beings. The scent when Chakra Devanam Indra is in his superb palace amusing himself and satisfying the 5 desires. Or the scent when he is in the hall of the wonderful law, preaching the law for the heavenly beings of Triastrimsha. Or the scent when he is wandering at leisure in his gardens, as well as the scent of the bodies of the other male and female heavenly beings. All these he will be able to detect from afar. He will thus be able to extend his awareness up to the Brahma heaven and even higher to the summit of being heaven, detecting the scent of all bodies of the heavenly beings, who also detect the incense burned by the heavenly beings. Moreover, the scent of the voice hearers, of Pracheka Buddhas, of Bodhisattvas, and of the bodies of the Buddhas. All these he will detect from afar and will know where these beings are. And although he can detect all these scents, his faculty of smell will not be impaired or disordered. If he should wish to distinguish one scent from another and describe it for someone else, he will be able to recall it without error. So what this makes me think of is like during times when I would do diets where I would cut out any sort of spice and just have very simple food, like no onions, no garlic, no spices at all. Like I would do no salt and just do a very bland diet. When I was around people, I could smell like if they were drinking a lot of milk, or like if they ate a certain type of food, like Indian food, where there's a certain spice mixture, or like garlic and onions. But when I would eat normally, I wouldn't have that same sensitivity. So this idea that, that someone who's very pure can smell these things make sense because they're more like a blank canvas. It's not obscured by other things, so they can receive the impressions of these much more subtle smells. And that, I mean, that's astounding, smelling something in the heavens, knowing what King Chakra is doing by a smell. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So again, like if people are smoking, they would not recognize the smell of a cigarette, right? But for us, we're non-smokers. So when we stand nearby them, we see that, we recognize that smell. And the one who eat garlic and onion, yeah, it's so strong that we can smell them, but they can't. So I think in the past, cô Thân Nguyễn, right, in the Sutra, the Buddha say for the high Buddhist practitioner, we're not supposed to consume garlic and onion. You know, you recognize now, right?
Yes, sir.
Why so strong? Why is that? Why we need to stay away from eating even the plants?
Because they have the negative influence on the vibration in our breath, and also it smells bad.
The stimulation to our
Yeah.
brain, right, to our nerve system. We talked about that, right, William? Right?
Yes.
Tammy, we talked about that, right, Tammy?
Yes.
That's why, in our temple, there's no way for us to eat garlic and onion. So I used to tell people, yes, you can share the food, but please don't bring any meat and garlic and onion. Yeah.
It's a coincidence that you mentioned that, because today when I was cooking lunch, I'll eat garlic and onions, but I try sometimes, like if it's just an easy choice, like I'm cooking and no one else is eating and no one else cares, I'll tend to try to not do it. But I had already put a seasoning in that had like onion powder and garlic powder. So I specifically was thinking about that today with my lunch. So it's just funny that it comes up.
But somehow they have some way to extract the smell, right? From garlic and onion, you would not smell anymore, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've wondered about something else with respect to that rule. But no, I never knew about being able to extract it.
No,
with garlic pills. Yeah, there are pills where they're like, yeah, I've seen that.
No smell at all, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Tammy, you recognize us? Have you ever taken garlic or onion pill?
No, I've never taken any of those types of pills.
But they go ahead.
I got a question. I have a question, because there's another plant. It grows in the rainforest. It's called ajosacha. It's false garlic, and it's used medicinally for like joint pain, and they believe it has other properties as well. They'll even feed it to their dogs to help their dogs hunt better. But the leaves and the flowers smell like garlic. And they have a similar compound that garlic has, but it doesn't have all the compounds that garlic has. And I always wondered, like, if that's a suitable replacement for garlic, or if it's also, shares the property. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a hard question to answer.
Yeah, on the route of our Corden center, it's a lot of them like that. It's blend everywhere, and again, we would not use that. But again, depend on people. But here's the thing. In the Buddhist book of discipline, it says that if we don't have any kind of medicine available for some kind of illnesses, even we can consume alcohol or gathered, whichever form, for healthy reason. That's exceptional cases. But of course, if we have some kind of replacement, we need to stay away from them. So let's say if we get lost in the forest, and if we really need to have this kind of plans for our illnesses, I think this will be acceptable. But now, I mean, that if everything's available in the market and so forth, we don't need to take them. It's just, again, it's affect to our stimulation of desire. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thầy giáo pháp, please.
At that time, the world honored one, wishing to state his meaning once more, spoke in verse form, saying, "The purity of such personals will be such that throughout this world he will be able to detect and identify all manner of order, fragment, or for samana and chatika, flower, tamalapata, and sandalwood, the scent of aloe and cassia, the scent of various flower and fruit, and he will know the scent of living being, the scent of man and woman. Throughout this picture of the Lord, the well far up, he will detect the scent and know where the person are. The wheel turning king and break and authority, let the wheel turner and their son, their minister and palace attendant, he will detect their strength and know where they are. Precious treasure adorn the body, treasure storehouse in the earth. The true lady of the wheel turning king, he will detect their strength and where they are. Or ornament to adore the body of person, clothing and necklace, all kind of paste, incense. By detecting this, he will know who the we are, where
So,
we are.
yeah, that's enough. Thầy.
That enough. Okay, thank you. So basically, he said that the Buddha summarized that if the person who have this ability, he will be able to detect and identify whatever the flower, sandalwood or whatever, and also he will be able to detect the limbing, the scent of limbing, the woman and man, and also the wheel turning king, and the last wheel turning king and their son, and as well the minister. He also detect the treasure adorning the body, and also in the earth, the lady of the jewel, lady of the turning king as well. So basically, he be able to detect most what, and he know where they are as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, thầy giáo pháp, if we take the garlic or onion peel without a smell, can we do it?
Well, it's not the smell by itself, but the actually it's the I think it's the essential I think whatever the ingredient for that is important. That what we don't want to take it in. If we can be able to, if we have a choice not to take it, why should we craving for that thing, right?
Well, some type of animals, so like the dogs, right? They smell peel quick, right? And even the bats somehow, even they don't. But they don't have they have the eyes, but they fly during the night, right? They fly at night. They have some kind of what is the sense or what?
Echolocation.
Yeah. So that's good karma for them in that way, right? Mm,
But at night time, when you see the dark eye, just like what you and you see just like the light in the middle of the darkness. Because in the mountain we have a dark, right? And when I look at the eye, it's totally dark, and the eye is very bright and very well, it's shining and bright. And when you see the dark, and you thought that is the light, basically it's the dark.
Okay, let's move on then. Yeah, for him, please.
Yes, when heavenly beings walk or sit, amuse themselves or carry out magical transformations, the upholder the lotus by detecting their sense and know all this. Blossom and fruits of various trees and aroma of butter oil, the upholder of the sutra, dwelling here, knows where all these are. Deep in the mountains, in steep place where blossoms of sandalwood tree uphold, living beings are in their midst. By detecting the sense, he can know all this. Living beings in the iron encircling mountains, in the great seas, or in the ground, the upholder of the sutra detect their sense and know where all of them are. Where all of them are. When men and female asuras and their retainers of flowers fight with one another for amuse themselves, he detects the sense and know all this. On the broad plains, in narrow places, lions, elephants, tigers, wolves, buffaloes, and water buffaloes, by detecting their sense, he knows where they are. Um, when a woman is pregnant and no one can determine if the child is male or female, if it will lack normal faculties or be inhuman, by detecting the sense, he can know all this. I think in this part, the Lotus Sutra explain about the benefits of understanding the Lotus Sutra, and by the beings will be using the intuitions to know and sense all the other beings around him or her.
So when we activate our Buddha nature, we can have this ability, right? Not
Yes.
upon the Lotus Sutra, but we live with our pure nature. We have this kind of abilities. Oh, tell me, you know why we use incense at the temple? You know?
Say it again. Do I know why? What about the temple?
Yeah, you know why we light incense whenever we have the ceremony. At the beginning of the ceremony, we light incense. You know why?
I think it attracts the beings, is what my assumption is.
All right, what did he say?
Like it would attract, because when you light it, then you're asking all at the same time, you're asking like all the beings to come. So I just assumed it would attract the beings that you want to come help pray. And I know some people use sage and stuff to like get rid of beings, or bad energy is what they call it. So I know sometimes people will sage to kind of get rid of what they call its negative energy.
Okay. How about you, William? When you were little, you did not grow up with incense, right?
In church, they'd go through with incense on like holidays, and there would always be a vague smell of it. I think they must have been burning it somewhere. And then when I was pretty young, like maybe 10 or so, I probably started using incense just for fun. and for the smell.
Okay, but you know why? Why in Asian, especially in Buddhist tradition, whenever we have celebration and ceremony, or beside, right before station, we light incense. What is the significant meanings of that, or that tradition?
Well, I know it's lit as an offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and I think on a very like earthly level, like not like lofty, but just a normal level, it does demonstrate a sincerity. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take some effort to do. And we're offering something pleasant, so symbolically that's good. But I always thought that maybe also like the beings in the subtle realms that also follow the Buddha's teachings, that it's pleasant for them, and they can be like Dharma protectors, or also be there and are engaging in practice in some sort of way. I think it's the Gandharvas in particular, don't they live off of smells?
Yeah. Yeah, cô Hương Nguyễn, you know, right? You know why we light incense? Follow the tradition for 1,000 years. You know why now?
Because I actually not really know in Buddhism, but it's like a kind of traditions in my home when I was a child. If I went to visit my grandparents and they said, yeah, this is a picture of my father, of my mom, your grandfathers. And for me as kids, it's a symbol to connect, to connect the thoughts, with people in the past. And somehow when I was kids, I watched the incense, and then I saw after 1 hour of everything is gone, then I was like, oh, then actually their body is also like this, and that's why I could not see them. Also when I travel, and now I just use it like a ritual, because when I remember I went to Sweden this year, on the King's Letter, I also bring incense with me, because before we make our camping on the mountains, I was taught that I should first go around with the incense and like praying, saying, okay, this is area is we are just going to camping here. If there is any ghost or anything, just showing them that we are here and we are kind with them, thing like this. That's all what I understand.
Thầy giáo Pháp, can you explain why we have that tradition of using the incense whenever we do the recitation or ceremony or so forth?
Okay. I think it's the incense is so our sincerity to invite the Buddha and the Bodhisattva from different direction, and not only that, also the Dharma protector as well, and also the spirits whoever have the affinity with us, and they can come and listen to the Dharma, to the recitation, chanting. So basically that for the thing. So it's not easy for the spirit to listen to the chanting or the Dharma. So this is I think that also have the special meaning to it.
Yeah. So basically, that's the offerings that we offer to the Buddhas, right? The Bodhisattva. Plus, somehow, we connect ourselves with the spiritual life, right? With the spiritual world, right? And most of the time, they put some kind of chemicals or sandalwood there's some kind of smokeless incense, the Japanese smokeless incense. You have that, like William? You used that before? You don't know that?
I haven't. No.
Smokeless. There's
no smoke.
Yeah, but expensive. Yeah. But anyway, so that's the way they use this type of sandalwood incense powders to purify the ground, to purify the place. The Mr. Nguyen just mentioned, you light incense, you roll around, right? That's that kind of purification. To purify the air, you can say that. Right? Because somehow when we sit down, the air, the smell may affect our brain too, may affect how we concentrate our mind. Some kind of smell, it helps us to calm our mind, especially with the sandalwood, right? But if we smell something so strong, right? So all fragrance and so forth, it may affect our concentration too. Yeah, that's why somehow sandalwood is so expensive. The real one, not the fake one, the real one is so expensive because it could purify the air. It could help us to calm the mind. And on the top of that, we are made offerings to Buddha and Bodhisattva and connect with the spiritual realms. And of course, this is 1,000 years of culture. And if you visit Vietnam, there's some places that they focus on making this kind of incense. Have you ever seen that before, William? You know how they do the incense? How they make the incense?
No, I've never seen it before. I know there's a bunch of flowers in there, but I've wondered about it. Like, I'm sure you can't just burn flowers and make them smell. There's got to be an art.
And if you stop by at any Tibetan Buddhist center, you can buy some Tibetan incense types. It smells differently from Vietnamese one or Chinese one. Yeah. Tammy, have you ever had that type of Tibetan incense before?
No.
Yeah, in the past we have that. Yeah, we bought from the temple, the Tibetan temple in the east. Anyway, so we come back here. Somehow you say that when we really live with our pure nature, Buddha nature, we have this type of ability, and on the top that some kind of smell may affect our spiritual life, our concentration, and our practice too much. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, please, William, please.
And through this power to detect sense, he knows when a woman will be successful or not, if the pregnancy will be successful or not, if she will be delivered safely of a healthy child. Through this power of detect sense, he knows the thoughts of men and women, if their minds are stained by desire, stupidity, or anger, and he knows if they are practicing good. Hoards of goods that are stored in the earth, gold, silver, and precious treasures, things heaped in bronze vessels. By detecting the scent, he can tell where they all are. Various kinds of necklaces whose value cannot be appraised. By the scent, he knows if they are precious or worthless, where they came from and where they are now. Flowers in the heavens above, mandaravas, manjushakas, parijataka trees, detecting their scent, he knows all these. The palaces in the heavens above and their separate grades of upper, intermediate, and lower, adorned with numerous jeweled flowers, detecting their scent, he knows them all. The heavenly gardens and groves, the superb mansions, the observatories, the hall of the wonderful law, and those taking pleasure in their midst, detecting their scent, he knows them all. So the things that the sensitivity of smell can do are pretty amazing. Like for a common person, like the idea of being able to detect like stores of gold and silver and precious treasures, that would, obviously be appealing to, someone working to make money. But I get the sense that someone who's at this level, who can detect all of those things, that's really not going to be very important. I doubt they're out hunting down the treasures. So it just seems these all seem to just be testimonies of how sensitive their smell is, and that it can actually, that it's functional, that it's kind of provable that they can tell these different things, because here are scenarios where you know, you could check if they were right or wrong after they say something.
Even little animals like the ant, right? They recognize when the storm comes. And we read some story about tsunami. Some animals, they have this strong feeling about those type of disaster coming about. But for us, we don't have that much. Okay, yes, that's why when we calm our mind, when we activate our pure nature, we have this ability. Yeah, please tell me.
When heavenly beings listen to the law or indulge the five desires, coming and going, walking, sitting, lying down, detecting their scent, he knows them all. The robes worn by heavenly women, when adorned with lovely flowers and perfumes, they whirl and circle in enjoyment. Detecting their scent, he knows them all. Thus, extending his awareness upward to the Brahman heaven, by detecting their scent, he knows all those who enter meditation or emerge from meditation. And the light sound in all pure heavens, and up to the summit of being, those born for the first time, those who have departed, detecting their scent, he knows them all. The multitude of monks diligent at all times with regard to the law, whether sitting or walking around or reading or reciting the Sutra teachings, sometimes under the forest trees, concentrating their energies, sitting in meditation, the upholder of the Sutra detects their scent and knows where all of them are. Bodhisattvas firm and unbending in will, sitting in meditation or reading the sutras or preaching the law for others. By detecting their scent, he knows them all. The world honored ones present in all quarters, revered and respected by all, pitying the multitude, preaching the law. By detecting their scent, he knows them all. Living beings who in the Buddha's presence hear the sutra and all rejoice, who practice as the law proceeds. By detecting their scent, he knows them all. So, I mean, it's just going through and explaining more ways. I mean, he can basically detect everything just by smell, every being, what they're doing, whether they're meditating or not meditating, all kinds of things, basically anything.
So tell me, so when we really focus our mind, when we do meditation, do you think we can have this kind of ability? I mean, that in personal experience, what do you think?
I think it's possible. I don't think it's possible for me, but for certain people, I'm sure if they're really practiced, then I mean, nothing to this extent. Of course, it's possible. It's saying it's possible, but I mean, you'd have to be extremely focused and extremely practiced.
Yes, like last year, right? We did meditation together, right? During the winter break, right?
Yeah, for several days.
Yeah, that's why we need to have this kind of practice so that we can feel and experience. Otherwise, when we read this kind of information, somehow it go beyond our thinking, and this is like fiction, right? It's not real until we practice. Okay, yeah, let's move on here. Yeah, thầy giáo pháp, please.
So he have not yet acquired the knowledge protected by the Bodhisattva of the law of no outflow, the upholder of the sutra. Before then, he will acquire the knowledge with the mark described here. Moreover, constant exertion if good men and good women accept and uphold this sutra, if they read it and recite it, explain and enrich it and transcribe it, they will gain 1200 tongue benefit. Whether something is good, tasting or well, whether it is flavorful or not, or even things that are bitter or astringent, when encountered by the faculty of this person tongue, will be changed into the super flavor as far as sweet dew of heaven, and there will be none that are not pleasing. Also, basically, in here the Buddha said that if the one who are upholding the sutra and applying the sutra and recite it and expound the sutra to the other, and he will have the 1200 tongue benefit. That means whatever the taste is, even either good or bad, when it comes to his tongue, it will turn into the supreme and the super flavor as far as the sweet dew of the heaven.
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar to. Yeah, please continue.
Yes, that if with these faculties of the tongue he undertakes to expound and preaching in the midst of the great assembly, he will produce a deep and wonderful voice capable of penetrating the mind and causing all who hear it to rejoice and delight. When the men and women of heaven, Sakra, Brahma, and other heavenly beings hear the sounds of this deep and wonderful voice expounding and preaching, advancing and arguments point by point, they will all gather to listen. Dragons and dragons' daughters, Aikasa, Yasa, and Yakasa daughters, Grandhavas and Grandhavas daughter, Asuras and Asuras daughters, Garudas and Garudas daughters, Kimnaras and Kimnaras daughter, Mahorayas and Mahorayas daughter will all gather close around its possessors in order to listen to the law, and will revere him and offer alms. Monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, monarchs, princes, ministers, and their retinues, pity will turning kings and grit will turning kings with their 7 treasure and 1,000 sons, and inner and outer retinues will ascend their palace and all come to listen to the law. Then, yeah, again in this part, because the focal beings will get benefits from these faculties of the tongue, then they will have wonderful voice that all the heavenly beings and other beings will come and listen to the law. Actually, I'm not really understand about their 7 treasure and 1,000 sons and inner and outer retinues. The last sentence is very hard for me to understand today.
So it says that red will turn in kings. So they have 7 covered treasures, like gold, lapis, and so forth. 7 types of treasures. And they have 1,000 sons and inner and outer retinues. But that inside their palace, in and out their palace. So it say that whoever become great will turn into they have that kind of possessions, have that kind of mm, people that follow them. Mm. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's here. So it's so that if someone can expound a teaching where they will attract all kind of beings, right? Visible and invisible beings, dragon, yaksha, and so forth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. William, please.
Because this bodhisattva is so skilled of preaching the law, the Brahmins, householders, and people throughout the country will for the remainder of their lives follow and wait on him and offer him alms. Voice hearers, Pratyeka Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas will constantly delight to see him. Wherever this person is, the Buddhas will all face in that direction. When they preach the law, and he will be able to accept and uphold all the doctrines of the Buddha. And in addition, he will be able to emit the deep and wonderful sound of the law.
Yeah.
So that, this person who upholds the Lotus Sutra will be so effective in preaching the law that those who listen to him will be firmly set on the path where they'll continue throughout their lives to show their gratitude for that preacher of the law through attending to him, giving alms, and that, the Buddhas themselves, when he's preaching, or they'll face his direction and he'll be able to uphold all their doctrines. So, and all of the, the realized beings, the bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, voice hearers, they all will cherish this person and enjoy their company, or rather delight to see them. So, I mean, it's just, again, these are really testifying to the benefits of applying oneself in the way, and in this case, particularly with the Lotus Sutra, but very motivating. I mean, these are very nice things that anyone following the Buddha way would be happy to attain.
And again, you memorize the verses, right? The Buddha will face to you, right? They will follow you everywhere you go, right?
I'm working on it. I'm partway through the third chapter. I got first and second verses done. I'm partway through the third. So sometimes it's kind of slow going, but I'm sticking with it.
So you memorize a few verses, a few sentences per week, or how will you do that?
Well, some weeks I don't make much progress, just because of timing stuff. Like usually I would wake up on Saturday and I would meditate, and then I would do the verses. I would recite, and then I would do more on Sunday. And I started doing some on Friday too. But sometimes I don't get Friday morning. Then with Saturday doing the teaching for the kids, generally, by like 9:30, I need to be available for my daughter. So I've been kind of putting it all into Sunday, and it ends up being like an hour and a half. And so I just have to make sure I get up early enough. But by the end of the hour and a half, it's kind of hard to try to learn more, like, because I'm just like, by reciting that much, I'm just tired. So I'm trying to find other times during the week to go over it.
So throughout many years of memorizing this type of sutra, do you feel any kind of spiritual support, spiritual blessing when you reciting or when you memorizing them?
Well, it's interesting. Like some of the things that it's talking about in this chapter, for instance, with the tastes, like my wife all the time will see me eating something and she can't believe it tastes that good because she knows what it is. But like to me, legitimately, like I'm totally satisfied. I think it tastes great. And then she goes to taste it and it's terrible. And there are all these different herbs that I use And for anyone else who drinks them, they would be like, this is undrinkable. I can't do this. Like my brother said, one of the tablets that was like a mix of herbs I really liked and thought tasted kind of good. He said it tasted like a condensed reptile cage. So there are a few little things. It's not the full expression of all of those things, but same thing with scent. Like I'm more sensitive to smells. I'll smell something that someone else in the office doesn't smell, but I'm not smelling the heavenly realms. So I am noticing things like that. And yeah, some other, just the way sometimes things work out, that they work out really well without having to put a lot of effort. So I do get that sense. I mean, not to a degree that someone couldn't debate and someone couldn't cast doubt on. But there's some things like that.
Yeah, cô Thương Nguyễn, you still recite Chúa Đại Bi every day, or you just do meditation?
Today I do recite compassion mantra every day, at least 3 times or 7 times, or wherever I drive in the car. Vipassana is if I do Vipassana, then I don't recite, but on the other time I will. Also from kids, my mom, even now, and all of my friends told me that everything I eat look really tasty to them. Even though, they were like, yeah, how can you eat this? I would not do it. But for me, my mom also always telling this when I was a kid, and all of my friends said the same. Anything I put in eating and they saw it, they thought it's very tasty, but when they take themselves, it's not. And I could really eat or drink all things without hesitate to smell or taste.
Yeah. I'd like to share with you that, somehow, usually before I go to school to teach the student or to meet them, like even the final presentation that they're supposed to do. Last Tuesday, today is Saturday, so last Tuesday, I went to the school. And right now I'm in Houston. So the reason why I flew here because I have final presentation. The students supposed to do their final presentation. So on Tuesday, in the morning, I got to the temple by flying around I think 12:45 or 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. And by 9 o'clock, we left the temple. I and Thầy Giáo Pháp went to the temple. You know what? In the morning, I used to recite the mantra, but somehow that night, that morning is so tired, I just decided quickly. Guess what? Somehow there's a lot of problems occur. When we drove the car on the road, the big truck, the 18-wheel truck, somehow they merged with the land, but somehow they didn't see. Somehow I don't know. They didn't see us. They swung to the side of my fence, and it took out the passenger mirrors that we have to replace it on. And guess what? There's just only one incident. When they went to the school, after we have the presentation, and somehow I supposed to have a meeting with the lady that's next to that building, about 5 minutes walking. But we were late, and the students stay around with me to ask some questions regarding about their test, their final, their grade, and so forth. Guess what? I completely forgot my laptop and walked out the room because in my mind, I concerned that I was late with the appointment with that lady, and plus on the top that the student walk around with me. They walk out with me, and somehow I forgot my laptop they put on the table, and you know that the final and evidence here. And so when they went out to talk with my student, and of course they left, and after that I met that lady and so forth. And what happened? We drove back for an hour from school to our temple. And when I opened my bags, I couldn't find my laptop. And they called around. I called some of my students. And finally, I called that lady, the lady I met, and asked her to come to the room that we have the meeting to pick up and hold for me. So I rolled not out to pick up them. And actually, that's the first time ever in my life that I even somehow forget my laptop. But spiritually, I think it's some kind of a pet there. Of course, because my mind was occupied by being late and the student talking with that kind of distraction. So somehow I forget completely my own laptop. So a lot of combination, a lot of components of condition. That's why I forgot my laptop. But somehow I sense that is part of spirituality too. Yeah. So actually, so many years of teaching, this first time ever, I forget my own laptop. Usually when you go to the public place like the airport, before I walk away, I would turn around and look back where I sit to see whether I missed anything. Sometimes I miss, sometimes I forgot the plug, the power cord, or even the jump drive, but never with the laptop. This first time ever. Yeah.
Well, Thầy, I actually 3 weeks ago I suddenly read or listen on YouTube, and in India there is a boy, and he predicted that on the 10th of December something really bad will happen to the world. So my mom this week she was still in Hội An for building something. I always ask her mom, please go home before 10th of December. So yeah, so today when I watched the news, what happened last night in Kentucky, I was really scared that something will happen to the temple. But yeah, I think really something relate to spiritual world as well, because every time thing like this happen, it distracted high spiritual vibrations.
So William, you have that type of similar experience before? What do you think?
I can remember thinking of days where things just didn't go smoothly when I didn't do my practice, like I might get into a disagreement or something. I can't think of an exact situation right now though, off the top of my head, but I do get that sense that when we're making a good effort, that there is some sort of invisible assistance.
Yeah, Thầy Giáo Pháp on that day, right, when the truck, right, they smashed our passenger mirror, right? It's actually the first time ever have this kind of experience. So he sat with me. He sat in the passengers. I mean that in the back. Yeah. So Thầy Giáo Pháp, you can share. Up when you heard that boom, right? You heard that sound when when the truck smashed our van.
The truck is not the 18-wheel truck. I think it's smaller than that. If the 18-wheel truck, we will goodbye. So we are next to the border of the divider. You know, the divider of the freeway of the two sides. Otherwise, if the 18-wheel truck they hit us, you know what? We already fly into the wall. Basically, I think it's just like the food truck for the grocery store truck, something like that. They They just slide through the side of the van. It's not so the damage is not much. Only the side mirror of the passenger. That's all. That is very that we are very lucky on that day. So well, thank Buddha. So yes. We tried to get the place number, but we could not be able to get it. So it's okay. But everything okay. That's good. That's a good news. So and sometimes it happens. So yes, I also noticed that too when we did not stick with our practice, it will happen. So when I was a lay person as well. So. It's happened time to time. So, but when we always stick with the practice, everything is smooth. It goes smoothly.
Yeah. Tell me, you have that kind of experience before?
So I got sideswiped by a tractor trailer before too. I had that type of experience when I was in my like early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I got hit by a tractor trailer on a rainy day. It sideswiped my car. So I've had that experience. It's pretty scary.
Really?
Yeah.
And he damaged your car?
Oh yeah, it totaled it. It totaled it.
Really?
And I ended up somebody, and they pushed me into somebody else. And the tractor trailer just kept going. Like they didn't stop or anything. And the guy that I hit, he actually ended up stopping and driving me back to my work. And I worked for a trucking company. I worked for an insurance agency that insured tractor trailers. So
Okay. Oh, so you say you hit them or they hit you?
They hit me.
Oh, okay.
And then I hit him, which pushed me into him. And so the guy that I actually hit was the one that drove me back, took me back into work. And the tractor trailer just kept on going, like it didn't even phase them.
Okay.
But in the summertime, I had a few people pass away. And so I was doing the Erster Bodhisattva every night. And I could definitely tell a difference, just like in the flow. Like for sure, when I was praying, I could feel a presence, a very comforting presence. And I could feel a different, like a flow and just in my day-to-day life, which was much more calmer and peaceful. And I could still, even though I fell out of practice, I can still feel that presence. It's strange, like pretty much any time. The only times I can't feel it, like when I calm down, like when I think about it, or when I'm just calm, I can feel it. Or if I'm upset, it comes to me. But if I'm ever angry or aggravated, then I can't feel it at all. So it's very helpful. But it's funny for me, especially when I'm upset, that I feel that presence, and it helps calm me down to let me know that, everything's going to be okay. You're not alone, that kind of deal. But I had the opposite happen this week, actually, where I've been out of practice. And so some mornings I'll be able to log on for prayer in the morning. And even if I wasn't doing the Erster Bodhisattva, I was able to log on every evening anyways, and just at least listen. And I fell out of practice of that too, where I'm kind of hit or miss. And this week, I think it was 2 nights ago, I finally logged on that evening. And the kids had fallen asleep upstairs. So they were sleeping upstairs, and I went downstairs, and I was just sitting on the couch listening. And my mind was wandering. I wasn't focusing very well. And all of a sudden I heard a big thud. And I thought, oh my goodness, one of the kids fell out of the bed. So I ran upstairs, and David was standing there. He was all like confused and crying. And I'm like, oh, David, you fell. And I don't have carpet anywhere. It's all hardwood floors. And I'm always afraid that's going to happen. But it's never happened, like never the whole time we've lived here. So I'm always very concerned that one of the kids are going to fall out of the bed because, like I said, there's no carpet, but it's never happened. And but he was okay. I mean, his cheek was pink, and he was just standing there kind of confused. And then he laid right back down. So, and then the next morning he didn't remember, and he didn't believe me. He said, "You were daydreaming, Mama. That didn't happen." I'm like, okay, whatever. But it was strange to me that happened when I finally went back to the prayer. Other than the fact that I wasn't, being intentional with it, or maybe it was just coincidence. I don't know. But it bothered me that I thought, well, when I do the prayer, that should be calming not only to me, but all the beings in the home. So for it to have that timing, I thought was kind of messed up. Like it seemed like it had the opposite effect.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So William, what do you want to share?
Yeah, I remembered one. That happened when I was in high school. I had been keeping the precepts pretty strictly for a few years. Like I was trying to take on the Bodhisattva precepts too, and really had really kind of like attached to them as a kind of compensatory method, because I felt like a lot of my life was out of my control, because that was after I wanted to go to Talmage for high school. I wanted to go to the City of 10,000 Buddhas, and I didn't do that. And I went to your place, but ultimately didn't stay there, and went back. And then I'd started working with a therapist, because I had just been having so much trouble with kind of trying to integrate into high school life. Like I was fine if I could just stay home and meditate and do my thing. I was amazing. Everything was perfect. When I had to start going to high school and like work, it was rough. So he kind of encouraged me to stop being vegetarian. And the first night that I ate fish, I got into a car accident.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and it was actually a woman crossed the street in front of me at nighttime when it was raining, so my car couldn't stop in time, and it hit her. And this was crazy, because so the therapist I'd been working with, he introduced me to this Indian guru, and I had like started going to some events with her. And the woman who ran out in front of me and who I hit, she was a follower of that Indian guru's guru.
Okay.
She had like a picture of him in his car, and it was just such a weird coincidence, because that guru was really kind of like instrumental in having me break that precept. Because her close followers would eat meat and she wouldn't say anything, or she'd encourage people to eat meat to get their bodies stronger. So just that was a wild coincidence. And when the next time I saw that therapist, I had shared with him that idea that like these seem connected, and he was really like, no, that's not connected, it's fine. But I know in the Buddhist teachings, when you take on a precept, they say that you have a certain degree of protection from these spiritual beings. Yeah. And if you break the precept, well, then they're not going to be around protecting anymore. So that was a really good one that I'd forgotten.
Well, anyway, that's good. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And again, I learned my lesson too, especially with my own laptop. And so I'm so embarrassed that I even forgot this kind of essential items that I use every hours for reading, for my preparation for the classes, and all kind of important information here. So anyway, that require a lot of spiritual practice, plus the mindfulness practice too. All right, so thank you. So let's end today then. Yeah, Cô Thông Nguyễn, please.
Yes, right. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha.
Yeah, thank you. Cô Thông Nguyễn, stay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.